K-pop news shocked. The moment Taehyung stood tall on that stage, the atmosphere throughout the MGM Grand Arena seemed to transform into something far warmer, more personal, and more intimate than just a music award show. Everyone, from the international journalists to the fans who had been screaming hysterically since the beginning of the show, realized they were witnessing a significant chapter in the journey of an artist who had long made history. The initially boisterous atmosphere slowly transformed into a reverent silence, as if the entire world were bowing their heads in greeting to such a monumental victory. The spotlight shone on Taehyung's face, creating a subtle glow that accentuated his stunning features. Behind the large crowd, the other BTS members stood tall, their eyes filled with pride. Jin smiled the widest. Jimin seemed to be fighting back tears. Jungkook gave RM a gentle pat on the back, while Suga and J-Hope stood with an aura of serenity that only someone who had been through the same long journey could understand. The moment wasn't just an individual triumph. It symbolized the collective gratitude of a family that had grown together, fallen together, and now stood at the top together again. When Taehyung finally took the microphone, the world held its breath. His voice came out slowly, softly, yet with an emotional power that pierced deeply into the hearts of all who heard it. He thanked BTS, ARMY, his family, and everyone who had believed in him during the most difficult times. His words weren't long, but each sentence carried incredible emotional weight. His voice trembled slightly, but it was precisely that trembling that made his speech feel human and deeply touching. After a moment, Taehyung bowed deeply, a salute so sincere that it caused the entire arena to erupt in applause. The camera focused on his face, radiant with victory. The dazzling lights reflected beautifully on his black blazer, accentuating the patterned sash hanging from his shoulder. The outfit wasn't just fashion. It symbolized the elegance that had grown from a long journey of hard work, perseverance, and scars never seen by the public. As Taehyung stepped off the award stage, another unexpected moment occurred. The audience rose to their feet in unison, giving him the longest standing ovation of the night. Fans chanted his name in harmony that almost sounded like a sacred chant, while guests and fellow artists looked on with unconcealed admiration. Even from a distance, Taehyung's aura seemed to have grown stronger, more mature, and more determined, as if this award were the key to unlocking a new chapter in his career. Backstage, the members immediately embraced him. Jimin hugged him tightly with reddened eyes, Jungkook patted his shoulder with an innocent smile, and RM gazed at him with the proud gaze of a leader watching his younger brother grow into a global icon. "You deserve this," Suga said in a low but sincere voice. Taehyung only smiled slightly, but his expression couldn't hide his immense happiness. However, the night didn't end with the award. There was one more major moment that brought the entire arena to a roar. As the giant screen displayed moments from BTS's journey, from trainee days to debut, to the pinnacle of global success, a soft instrumental music began to play. The entire arena darkened, leaving only a single light slowly moving toward the center of the stage. And from behind a dramatic cloud of white smoke, Taehyung's silhouette emerged, standing alone, ready to give a special performance as a token of gratitude to the world. His performance began with a low, soft note like the whisper of a night breeze. His voice flowed calmly, permeating every corner of the room. And when the chorus arrived, his voice exploded with incredible emotional power, creating a wave of emotion that moistened the eyes of many. Some in the audience covered their mouths, unable to believe they were witnessing such a moment in person. Meanwhile, seconds after Kim Taehyung received his award, the atmosphere inside the MGM Grand Arena transformed into more than just a music stage. The night felt like a page of history being written right before the eyes of millions. Spotlights followed his graceful steps as he stood tall, while the other members, Jin, J-Hope, Suga, RM, Jimin, and Jungkook, watched from backstage with pride. The night witnessed that their long journey had not been in vain. They had overcome the most difficult times in their lives, facing a seemingly never-ending storm of criticism, pressure, and expectations. However, Taehyung's victory at the 2026 AMAs seemed to symbolize that their dedication had paid off in the most monumental way. While the applause lingered, media cameras, including those from MTV, attempted to capture every inch of Taehyung's facial expression. Journalists closed in, hoping to capture the winner's emotional details, but it was at this point that something even more profound happened. Taehyung slowly raised the microphone, staring out at the sea of ARMY filling the arena, his voice trembling slightly. He didn't speak immediately. There was a meaningful pause, a silence long enough to make the entire stadium hold its breath. And in that moment, his soft, honest voice rang out. "I never imagined a night like this would come," he said, his voice hoarse with emotion. The ARMY's cheers immediately erupted, but Taehyung raised his hand slowly, urging them to calm down. He wanted to ensure his words were conveyed, without interruption. "I'm not standing here because I'm great," he continued. "I'm standing here because you gave me a reason to keep going. I'm standing here because those 6 brothers backstage always have my back." At that sentence, the camera immediately focused on the 6 BTS members, who looked teary-eyed. Jimin covered his mouth, Jungkook lowered his head with a bitter smile, and RM appeared to be struggling to hold back his tears. And Taehyung continued, "Tonight isn't just mine. It belongs to all of us. All the journeys, all the pain, all the love we've built together. Thank you for believing in me." Suddenly, from the upper-level stands, a soft chant erupted, then swelled like an emotional wave. Thousands of ARMYs began singing Sweet Night in unison. The song echoed through the arena, penetrating the majestic atmosphere of the 2026 AMAs, transforming it into a sea of sentimentality beyond mere words. Taehyung was stunned. His smile slowly blossomed, and he lowered his head, pressing his right hand to his chest, a gesture of sincerity he'd made several times that night, but now deeper, more moving, more honest than ever. For the first time in years, tears finally fell, not from sadness, but from overwhelming gratitude, pride, relief, and an overwhelming love for their fans. Meanwhile, the BTS members slowly made their way onto the stage. Jin held Taehyung's shoulder with a gentle smile. J-Hope hugged him from the side, while Suga patted his back gently as if to say, "You did your best." RM stood beside him, proud, like an older brother watching his younger sibling reach the top of the world. Jimin and Jungkook hugged him tightly, forming a circle that made the entire stadium roar again. The 2026 AMA stage that night was no longer just an awards ceremony. It became a turning point, a global declaration that BTS, despite their long and challenging journey, still stands tall as timeless icons who continue to make history. And amidst all the warmth, one thing became crystal clear. That night, the world witnessed Kim Taehyung not just as an artist, but as a living legend. A legend who shines through with dedication, courage, and a heart full of love. And the 2026 AMAs will forever be remembered as the night of visual maestro, a true performer, a hero to millions, reached the most dazzling pinnacle of his career.